And when we saw this behavior online, how people wanted to build on one another's creative ideas, we thought like, what if that was our company? We'd never seen the internet being used for creative collaboration of that kind. And then we sort of leaned into it. We said, what if we create a tech product?
Welcome to the social network category. I'm super excited to be speaking with Jared. Jared is the president of HitRecord. Jared, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
To give context about why we're having this interview, we looked at well over 460 social network companies or companies within the social network category. One of the companies that stood out to us quite a bit was HitRecord. Their approach of building a community, especially around for the artist community, is quite unique. How they're gravitating a lot of their users around a specific task of projects and sharing with one another is something that's quite unique and a niche, and it's something that we like to see across the social network category and a variety of different verticals. With that, Jared, thank you so much again for taking the time to do this. Before we jump into questions, we have a short video, I think, that gives a quick overview of who is HitRecord. It at least gives the audience a little bit of a baseline of who you guys are, and then we'll jump directly into questions.
Okay, we're recording. Hey everyone, it's Joe. What is HitRecord? So here's a question. Have you ever had that feeling where you really want to do something creative, but you don't know where to start? I know for me, expressing myself creatively is super important for my happiness, for my mental health. I bet if you're watching this, then maybe it's important to you too.
I really like to write and draw.
Think about music all the time. I love producing music.
I like doing crafts, I like taking photos.
I'm not really good at either one of them, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
But I also know for me, getting started is really hard if I'm doing it all by myself.
My biggest challenge is me.
Like a lot of artists, I guess, I have some anxieties and some fears.
I don't really know what to do about that.
If I'm just alone, staring at a blank page, I might get an idea, but I'll be like, that idea's no good, it's stupid, no one's gonna like it, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna do anything. So what I've learned is it's much easier for me to find that creative flow when I'm doing it together with other people.
Hi, everybody.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Hello. Konnichiwa.
Feeding off people's energy, building off something they did, having them build off something I did, and ending up with something we never would have done on our own.
It's always been a dream of mine to make an animated movie.
That feeling of collaboration, it's one of my favorite parts of the whole creative process, because it's those moments where I can be like, okay, I'm not alone.
People who love the same things that you love, who want to do the same things that you want to do, who want to make stuff.
And that is what HitRecord is. HitRecord is just a place to be creative together. Everyone gets to build off of everyone else's contributions.
When I first joined, I'd uploaded a couple songs and a girl named Metaphors remixed it. She had written a whole song. It blew my mind.
And by the way, getting remixed is an incredible feeling.
I remember logging on and it said you'd been remixed.
It felt amazing.
That thrilled me like you would not believe.
Come check out our community. What you'll find is not an endless stream of content to consume. It's an endless stream of projects where people are looking for collaborators, maybe looking for you.
Hello, fellow hit recorders.
Hey guys, singers, rappers. I want to finish this project with you.
People collaborate on all kinds of projects. Could be something ambitious, like a whole short film or documentary or song or book. Could be something simple, like let's all write tiny stories inspired by this one person's photo. The point is, it's not about, hey world, look at me, look what I made. It's about, hey world, let's make something together.
I hadn't animated much before HitRecord. Now I literally do it every single day. And it all came out of being supported by the community.
I'll just never get tired of somebody else being inspired enough by something I made to do something with it.
I've grown so much as a person and as an artist.
So, are you recording?
Are we recording?
I know it's hard getting started, but that's the thing. You don't have to do it alone.
Awesome video, Jared. I mean, you actually already described it a little bit within the video, but I'm curious if there's any follow-up that you wanted to add about the backstory about why you guys started HitRecord.
Yeah, it's funny. We've been doing this. Joe Gordon-Levitt, who is actually in that video, describing what HitRecord is, and we've known each other for almost 20 years. We were creative collaborators as I was a stage manager on a show, on a play, and that's how we met. And he was an actor, and we've just been making like little bits and bobs, like videos or like little art projects for years. And he started an online journal where this was before like click to play video, before like YouTube. This is, I think, I want to say like 2005, 2006, where he would just post art that he would make and then people would comment on it. And he then started a message board, a prefab PHP message board, where he would post art that he would make, videos, music, writing. Other people would post art that they made. And then there was a category, like a sub message on the message board that was like people making things together. And this was, I want to say 2008. And we started noticing this behavior where people had this inclination, this like human inclination to want to collaborate. And Joe and I had always talked about starting a creative production company. And when we saw this behavior online, how people wanted to build on one another's creative ideas, we thought like, what if that was our company, that where we'd never seen the internet being used for creative collaboration of that kind at that time. And then we leaned into it and we said, what if we create a tech product, a platform where people could do that more easily? And what if we created a business model in which if the content was monetized, that revenue was shared with the creators? And that's what we endeavored to do. And we launched at Sundance 2010 as a part of the New Frontiers category. We launched in 2010. We actually just celebrated our 10-year anniversary at Sundance last year. And it's funny because we made Joe and I remember sitting at a deli in New York, B&H Dairy, and we set a list of goals. We were like, this collaborative methodology of people all over the world creating together, maybe we could make music this way. Maybe we could make a book this way. Maybe we could make short form videos. And maybe one day we could ultimately make a television show. And we thought, if we could make a television show this way, then I think that's the goal that we set for ourselves. And that's what we endeavored to do. And we did just that. We've made multiple books with HarperCollins. We did all sorts of branded partnerships with Levi's and the ACLU. We had multiple shorts screened as official selections at Sundance. And then we made a TV show. And then once we made the TV show, and we thought, there's way more people who want to participate in projects than we can lead. Like we were leading these projects and people would contribute to them. So then we thought there's a bigger play here where anybody can start a project and anybody can lead a project and anybody can rally communities to create together things that they want to do. And that's when things really started to explode.
It's really interesting because the social networks generally are really difficult. You kind of have to get a community of individuals who are willing to participate in a specific topic and collaborate on that. If it's true free form, it tends to get there's chaos and it tends to turn toxic, and if it's not as engaging, then there's a lot of drop off. But how you guys, your focus on project-based community is quite unique, and that's why I wanted to highlight you guys, because it's a lot different approach than what you think of traditional most social networks.
Right.
Was the project-based focus, was that the original focus in the very beginning, or was it just share artwork or share what you have? And that's
collaboration was always the key. We always say it's not a competition, it's a collaboration. And it's tricky because I think if we were to approach this now, that like for years, we would not consider ourselves a technology platform. We would say we're artists. We don't know we're not product people. And honestly, like when you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people collaborating on creative projects through the internet, you do have a degree of technology, and you are a degree of a technology platform. I think if we were to approach it now, having had the experience of working with a bunch of product and tech experts, we probably would have gone about it differently, but probably not necessarily the right way. When we started, we wanted to say the creative process is going to dictate everything, which is keep it open. I think when you think about tech and product, you say, okay, do something very specific. Let's just focus on 30-second videos, or let's just focus on music, or let's just focus on writing. And that's a great way to go. I think if we would have done that, we would have been an extremely different company, and that wouldn't be who we are. But we wanted to say, you know what? We want to focus. We want to make music. We want to make videos. We want to make writing. We want to make documentaries. We want to make stop motion. We want to make claymation, anything. And when you keep it that open, The starting place is different, meaning, and therefore it's tricky to build product that can conform, because usually you're like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And so for a very long time, our UI and our product and our experience was extremely difficult because we wanted to keep it open and not confine creative people. So on the one hand, that was cool to be able to say, you know what, it's not necessarily intuitive to think, oh, people want to just create anything. You think, oh, it's music, it's animations. But because we kept it so open, what we have found is the kind of people who want to collaborate on creative projects online, they don't care what the format is. They want to write, they want to do music, they want to do illustration, they want to do animation. And so by keeping it open, we found like a way to hopefully support that creativity, and then product and projects and to support that creativity came after, once we realized, oh, people just want to make stuff together. People just want to have a safe space to build on each other's ideas. That's kind of that's product, and the projects literally came just by us figuring out we know how to make things, and you learn by doing. Literally, like that was, I'm not trying to suggest that's the way to do it, because it's probably the most inefficient way, because it took us a really long time. We've been doing this for 11 years, but the result of that is a really strong sense of who we are, who our community is, what they love, and then building product and technology to support that.
You know, one of the things that you notice across social networks is that, well, first, they have a really difficult time, majority of them have a difficult time figuring out ways to monetize, 1. 2, supporting their creators and leaving up the creators themselves to be creative of how they actually support themselves on those platforms. And then it seems like because of that, what gravitates a lot of creators onto platforms tends to be more of there's a status component. If you looked in the professional field, it's who has got the most credentials. In the research social networks, it's who's the most publications. In the engineering, who wrote the most code. And then you use that in your own way to maybe support yourself in your personal life. And you guys take a totally flipped approach and change the model. It doesn't feel like there's a status component in your community, 1. And 2, you have a really unique model where you're allowing creators to support themselves and support the work that they each create, and that they can share in the revenue of the work that they've created, which that's one of the most unique things out of HitRecord, out of all 470 companies that we looked at. My question to you to follow up from that is, generally, do you feel that sentiment? Do you feel like there might be a status component still? And the other part of it is, can you speak on the way in which you support creators and allowing them to not only sell their work and then split that with those who help contribute to the product, and actually how do you truly manage that process and make sure people do get paid?
Sure. In terms of status, from the very beginning, I think we understand, there's a lot we don't understand about life in the world and business, but I think we understand the creative process, and we understand the environment in which people feel comfortable being creative. And to do that, to be in a creative brainstorm, to feel safe, you have to create an environment like that is unique, where that's not necessarily, I think things are starting online. When we when we built the platform, we were like, all right, we don't want you to be able to look at art or watch a video and then at the same time look at comments while you're watching it. We want you to be able to experience, and that little UI choice lets you as the viewer decide how you feel about it before you look at comments that might help inform either a negative take or something cynical. We actually made it harder for you to look at comments or look at likes or whatever the case may be. That, I think, we don't show follower count. We make it hard to see the amount of likes something has. And I think that really just channels the focus on the creativity itself. The other thing that from the very beginning, we really wanted to support was the idea that anything is remixable, that any piece of content that you upload, whether it's writing, music, video, illustration, you can download it, you can re-upload it, you can change it, remix it, re-upload it. As long as you give attribution to the person who you are remixing, kind of anything goes. And what we found is that feeling that a community member gets when their contribution has been remixed, it is such a positive feeling because it's being seen in a way. It's way more than because it's saying, oh, I saw what you did, I was inspired by it, and this is what I built, and this is how I changed it to reflect more of my personality. And even if you don't like what they made, the fact that that recognition is really powerful, and it creates a very positive environment. But you're seeing that now with TikTok. TikTok is a version of remix, and I think that's probably why the TikTok community is more positive than other online communities, because it has that element of creative remix to it. To answer your question about supporting artists and monetization, what we found is the reason people are on HitRecord is they want to be creative with other people, and they want to make things together that they couldn't have made on their own. So we're not trying to attract, hey, this is where you earn a living, this is where you break into show business, because that wouldn't be that we would be disappointing a lot of people who come. But at the same time, Hollywood doesn't have a monopoly on creativity. You know what I mean? And so we want to provide an occasion for people to be creative. And sometimes it's fun to be able to have that creativity be recognized or spotlighted on television, or as a part of a video game, or as in music, streaming on Spotify. And so what we do is we say, okay, let's provide those occasions sometimes. And if and when that content is monetized, we split it with the contributors, not only just the people whose art is like their stems are in the final song, but all of the ideas that preceded it. So if you're, like I said, the rule is you have to give attribution. So even if somebody just said, oh, I have an idea about a song about cats, the person who had the idea of the song about cats, maybe they didn't contribute any further than that, but that germ of an idea was given attribution, and they will get a part of the payment. We have a whole UI for how payments work. We keep it all transparent. We say if there are 100 ingredients that go into a song that was monetized, we say, hey, here are all the ingredients that were tracked on our platform. This is what we propose the payment is. And then we have 2 weeks for the community to provide comments and feedback. Say, hey, you missed me, or actually, this was based on this other idea that wasn't tracked, or I think this person deserves more, whatever the case is. Our community team, which normally they sit right there, they go through absolutely every comment. And whereas not necessarily every comment is going to be agreed with, every comment is addressed. And so we have been doing this for a long time, and it's been working out pretty well, because I think, again, even if the opinions aren't in alignment, the fact that people's opinions are addressed, I think, are appreciated.
It's really unique because having looked at the entire media category as a whole, I think you guys have taken the furthest route in empowering creators in the ownership of their own work and making sure they get recognized for that.
Yeah.
And kudos to you guys for that. And way ahead of the trend curve, I think, overall. The one thing that I want to, I know we had a few minutes left here, and so I have a loaded question and then a follow-up question, and then we'll close out.
Sure.
I'm just curious, what is the type of engagement tools or methods that you use that really keeps your audience afloat and active in the platform? You guys, are you required to post a lot of projects yourself, or is the community pretty self-sustaining? And then the follow-up question to that is, how do you deal with people that are on two conflicting sides, maybe early artists and inexperienced and those that are professional? Do they clash at all, and does that cause problems at all?
Sure. So to answer your question about keeping people engaged, what we have found is when you break down the creative process into bite-sized pieces, and this is actually perhaps addresses your second question too. When you break down the creative process into bite-sized pieces, it sort of demystifies how to make a song, how to make an animation, how to make that. And that's why, again, it comes back to like people who want to participate in creativity online. Once you unlock and you demystify, like people might get onboarded as a musician or as they're interested in music, and then they become interested in animation because we break down the process into steps, very simple steps. And so every project has a specific step, not just write lyrics to a song, but hey, we're making a song about the solar system, or we're making an animation about Earth Day, or whatever the case is. Generally speaking, you can either grab somebody who is interested in the creative prompts because they have an idea for a song about Earth Day, or an animation about Earth Day, or they have an idea for a line, just like one lyric about a song about, I forget the reference that I used, a song about the solar system. By creating those very simple calls to action on our platform and then on social media, that keeps people engaged. And it also, that's how I don't want to say trained, but trained our community to lead a project so that they know, oh, okay, I have an idea for a photo collage all about swimming pools. And they start this project, and then they understand how to create steps that break it down into bite-sized pieces, and then go out on social and bring people in to contribute. That is related to the notion of professional versus people who don't necessarily consider themselves professional creatives, because for two reasons. Again, demystifying the creative process makes it so that anybody feels like they can participate. Because all of the ingredients, all of the assets and elements are uploaded individually, perhaps you are a professional and you're like, oh, I want to go this way with the project. And that's the way that you take it. And you have somebody else who says, oh, actually, I want to go this other way. All of the assets are there for the remixing. So create another project and say, actually, I want to, and that happens so much on our platform, where somebody writes an idea for a script. They say, I want to take it in this film noir direction, and they go and they make a project that way. Oh, I want to make it a silly music video, the same idea, and they can lead their own project. It tends to be like, if you don't like the direction a project is going in, then you have the full capacity to start your own and go in a different direction.
It's unique that it is a free-flowing community, and you guys keep it that way in any direction you want, and allowing your community to make the decisions on their behalf, which I think is really great, and continues to, and I'm pretty sure you have a pretty large set of really devoted community members because of that. I guess one of the final questions that I had for you is, what do you think is the future of social collaborative artwork? And what do you see that most people don't?
I don't know that if I see what most people don't. Future of creative collaborative creativity is, I think you touched upon this, when people have a common goal, whether that's making art, whether that's creating social action policies, or if you give people like a goal, I think human nature is, it does tend to lend itself to like positivity. Like people want, and especially like we've just gone through some pretty, I think everybody has experienced the toxicity of what social platforms are at least capable of. And I think people acknowledge that, but they also know that technology isn't inherently bad, and that we can use that for good. And there are, like I said, there has been this push, this forward momentum towards positive social interactions online. I think TikTok, again, is a great example of that at scale, where people are adding to each other's ideas, like creating like those sea chanties and things like that. I think it's so cool. And there's really no limit to what people can realize if they do have that common goal by using social platforms. And the power of it is, and this is perhaps maybe what we haven't yet realized collectively, but I think we've seen it in meme culture, but I think really what we're going to see more and more of it is like when you give people the opportunity and occasion to express themselves creatively, or just by telling their story, that you experience humanity in such a in ways that, like, what's the way to say this? We get to experience different walks of life that we wouldn't have necessarily gotten to know about. We did a collaboration last year with Zappos, for example, and Tony Shea, who's one of our like guardian angels, he's just like such a beautiful human. I guess 18 months ago, he was like, he really he had this vision of collaborating with his community, collaborating with the Zappos community. And he said he wanted to create video content about the Zappos core values, which are really human values. One of the values was embrace and drive change. That's a core value of Zappos, and embrace and drive change is, like I said, a human value. So we went out with a call to action, said, what does embrace and drive change mean to you? How do you interface with that? How do you embrace and drive change? You get like thousands of people's stories from all over the world. One young woman contributed a story. She was from Syria, and where there's social unrest, a civil war. She talks about how the best way to move around the city to go to school was to take the bus, but the buses were unsafe. And driving the checkpoints, it takes hours. So the best way to get around would be by bicycle, but it wasn't at the time safe for young women to ride bikes. And so she talked about how she was a part of a social movement of like basically mini female biker gangs, like bicycle gangs of women who would band together and ride their bikes together because to create this change, because that's what was needed. And she tells this story, and man, like when you think about embracing and driving change, and then you hear the story of a young woman who's doing just that in an area of the world that, like, as an American, I don't know very much about it, but you hear those stories. That's what's so awesome. Yes, we see what like crowdsourcing can do in meme culture, but I'm excited to see where we go to get more stories that are a bit more sincere and a bit more that are a bit more resonant in expressing the human experience globally. And it really does see like what the power of the internet and global collaboration can be.
It's a really great outlook, and it's exciting to see what the future is going to hold. I know we're a little bit over time. Thank you so much for taking the time. Before I close out, Jared, did you have anything that you want to ask of the audience, mention, or share?
We'd love to see on HitRecord. I'd love for you all to download our app, iOS or Android, or join us on desktop. What we have found is the more people who participate in the creative process yields more great ideas. And then honestly, like we've just seen, more great ideas is the better the result.
Thanks, Jared, for doing this. I really appreciate it. Again, for context and for the audience, why we had this interview, we looked at well over 460 companies within the social network category. HitRecord is doing some really impressive things around building a community, especially within their category, artists. And I think one of the most unique things in what we're hearing about today is how they leverage the power of their community, not only to give freedom, focus on a goal, but also give back to the creators and to their own community. And I think you're well ahead of the curve of a lot of people within this space. So with that, Jared, thank you so much.